Have you ever promised to do something that wasn't really all that big a deal? It wasn't a major inconvenience. Then you forgot to do it, and by the time you remembered, it is now very inconvenient. Oh yeah, I know. It would be so easy to just chuck it. Let me tell you a quick story about just such an experience. I call it, We Wouldn't Had No Christmas. It was our first Short North Christmas Eve. A hard sleet pelted the ground, and in our little center on High Street, the stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that a crowd would be gathering there. Trash bags filled with gifts were stored in one box van, groceries and hygiene kits in another. There would be hoodies and gloves and socks and other life necessities for all. Tents and tarps and sleeping bags awaited those who lived on the land. The question in my mind was, would anyone venture out in this weather for a Christmas Eve party? Venture out they did. I had never seen such a stream of soaked, shivering people. Soon a crowd of 125 filled a space that was prepared to hold 60. We seated the ones we could, but most had to stand, filled with carols and food, gifts and food, the Christmas spirit and food. Did I mention food? Well, it was a Christmas Eve for the ages. But as the party was breaking up, a woman with 3 little ones approached me. A baby and a toddler were in well-used strollers, and a 5-year-old was helping her push them. "Mister," she said, "I got no way to get my gifts home. It's icy and slick, and them bags are too big for me to carry. I got all I can handle with these kids." It took only one glance to know that was true. "Give me your address and your gifts. I'll drop them off to you when I leave." With that, I put her gifts in the back of the box van I was going to drive. End of story. Or so I thought. Driving home from the party proved to be a real challenge. It was late, 1:30 a.m. late. The roads were treacherous for the big empty truck, and I was so tired. My thoughts turned to all that awaited me at home. I still have to wrap Wanda's gifts and put together the basketball goal that I got for my son Corey. I'm probably not even going to get to bed. Suddenly it hit me. You still have that woman's gifts in the back of the truck. But it's so far back down there, and it's late. They'll be asleep by now. I'll take them down first thing in the morning. And then that little voice within me said, "You said you'd do it tonight." Sometimes I hate that little voice. I know, I sighed with a whine. Merry Christmas. But I'm not going to win this argument. With not the best of attitude, I turned the truck around and began to work my way back down into the city. It seemed to take forever. The streets were narrow. Some didn't have signs. Everything was slick. It was 2:15 Christmas morning when I finally found the right street. "These houses don't even have numbers on them," I whined. "How am I going to find this? How am I going to know which place is theirs?" Then there it was. A tumbled down kind of house with 2 small children huddled in the snow out front. Those kids were waiting for me. They were counting on me. As I pulled to a stop in front of their house, they exclaimed, Mister, we thought you wasn't coming." "Oh, I wouldn't do that to you." I lied. I stepped lightly across the front porch boards, trying to avoid the ones that were completely rotted. And entering the door, the sight before me will be forever etched in my mind. In the living room was an old sofa with a spring sticking out on one side and a naked baby sleeping on the other end. The kitchen had a broken down table with 2 chairs that had seen better days. A single light bulb illuminated the entire space. It was a 1 light bulb house, a condition fairly common among inner city poor. They had only 1 light bulb, so they took the light bulb with them as they went from room to room. A man rose from one of the kitchen chairs, came across the room, and he grabbed me by the shoulder, and with tears welling up in his eyes, he sobbed, "Mister, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have had no Christmas." That night I was recipient of the best gift of all. I was given the privilege of helping to make someone else's life better. God's gift to me was to allow me to be used to meet their need. Now, the way I was given that gift didn't fit into my plans. It was not convenient. I had complained and whined about being inconvenienced, and my selfish attitude almost caused me to miss the greatest Christmas gift I have ever received. Often the greatest opportunities we receive, the best life experiences, don't fit into our plans. They're not comfortable or convenient. That's the price of being used for a higher purpose. The fact is that God used me right where I was, selfish attitude and all, and did it in spite of my shortcomings. That's how God is. He accepts us right where we are. And He loves us far too much to leave us there. He takes us places we could never go alone. Perhaps your life journey is going really well. That's great. Perhaps not. Either way, there's a God who loves you, who wants to embrace you right where you are and accepts you right where you are. And He loves you far too much to leave you there. I'm Steve Campbell. If you would please email me at the address on your screen, I would love to begin a conversation with you about the journey of life. Tell me a little about your journey. Where are you now? Where do you want the journey of life to go? Send me an email. Let's talk soon.